Alright, we're back from my road trip picking up heads. So I went up to STD and went through their junk pile, found some more junk. So people don't seem to understand what these motors are. These are race motors for land speed racing. This is class racing. This is vintage class. I must use original old style parts. So that's what we're playing with right here. So right now the rule is you have to use stock cases and stock heads, and you can do whatever the hell you want to them. So when you take a set of cases like this one, which are basically stocked, and I'm putting a little bit of a spacer in for a 100-inch motor, is really close to being a, basically a stock ass motor. This one over here, stock cases, 1 year newer, had extensive amounts of welding done to them and work to them. Those are also no problem because you start with the stock cases. When you move up to heads, then you got issues. If you go into an aftermarket head, then I'm trying to get these okay to use right now, but we'll see. Otherwise, I just got to make them out of stock heads, which are the same thing. It's like this: you take a stock head, you cut it all up, weld it all back together, and you do what you want with it. So that's how you do things. So those are how the rules are made. So basically, on our class racing, we have a 100-inch class. We have a 2-liter class, which is 122 cube, and we have a 3-liter class, which is 183 cube. You have unlimited. You can go whatever you want. Now on the two big classes, you can run multiple motors. So you can put 2 of these in one frame and run them. 2 motors are a pain in the ass to deal with. It just makes things overcomplicated. It's better just to have one big ass motor and go with it that way. You won't make as much power, but you'll be able to get on the track pretty easy. Not have to fight it. And you can handle something, only a couple people, not having a whole big crew. So anyway, I like doing big motors. I'm not much doing this multiple engine stuff. So anyway, so that's how this stuff works. This motor here, like I said, this is one of the ones that was used in like the old Easy Rider Streamliner they had. There was 3 or 4 of those things built over the years, and this cases came from the early version, which is a generator motor. The one that set the record had cone motors in it. That was the year after they took these ones out and made new motors. So this is one of those cases. So pretty rare parts, but oh well, we're going to race them. We don't care. So right now I took out the 5 1/4 inch top fuel crank, and we're put an 80-inch crank length in here, stock stroke. So that's 4 1/4 stroke. That's 5 1/4 inch different. This one over here, I built this one up, same thing, 80-inch crank in here. We're going with that combo. Now, while I was up there at STD, they happened to have some heads on the shelf, so I grabbed them. So they had a set of ones they can't sell because they're made for big bore, like this. But they fit right on my motor. So if I want to run a shovel head, I got bolt-on heads for it. Yeah, I just got them because I like heads. These are good heads. STD makes ports that go straight in and straight out. See, no screwing around. That's what I like about them. And they're made out of really, really good material too, which helps. So this one here is a 100-inch limit, so right now I'm at 97. This is a 4 1/4 stroke with a 3 13/16 bore, makes 97 cubic inches. The other way I could build is a 98-inch by putting a 4 3/4 stroke in the bottom and run a stock 80-inch cylinder on top. 3 1/2-inch bore. So that's another combo. Excuse me, not 3 1/2, 3 5/8 bore. I'll get that straight. So that's another way of building it. This one here, they did it by doing, this is a 90-inch because they had to put 3 liters together, so they used 2 motors. So they did a 3 7/8 bore with a 4-inch stroke. Gave you 99 inches, right at the limit. So that's what this motor is built for. So that's why it's got these bigger cylinders on. These are actually bigger than these ones. Not by much, but just a little. So anyways, lots of different combinations of stuff. This is kind of stuff I like, screwing around, making oddball junk, make it work. So everybody's complaining, why are you making junk out of used junk parts? Well, that's called a mock-up. Mock-up means you have to figure out if it's going to work or not. Once it works, then you can take it apart and put good parts in it and do your welding. Weld up all these gaps like this stuff over here. Like I said, my other mock-up motor was over here. I did this a few years ago. It needs bigger welding. It has bigger gaps to fill. So you need a little gap filler. So this is a trike case, a panhead case, a twin cam crank, top fuel, S&S cylinders they said they never made. Screw them. And I got KR cams in it. I got a 45 cam cover on it. Got K lifter blocks in here. It's a 4-cam panhead motor. Totally legal vintage motor. Harley never even thought about making that motor, but I did. Who cares? So anyway, there's a lot of different combinations you do, weird stuff. So right now I went up to get some heads so I can play. While I was up there, I picked whatever I could find in heads that were still available. So this was their last set of good heads. Basically, there's no errors in the machining per se. This is a comeback. It had an oiling issue. I got to fix the oiling issue. Good set of heads. That's a pretty rare set. STD's been out of heads for a couple of years now. So anyway, these are internal oiler heads. So these are 58 to 62 heads. This set over here was another comeback set. This was laying on top of the junk pile. So these are outside oiler heads. So these came back for whatever reason. I don't know. Loose valve guides, who knows. Customer wasn't happy, they sent them back. So we're going to fix those. So this is for an outside oiler motor. So that's your 63 to 65 motor. Once again, you can't buy this stuff. This set over here is a set of early heads, screw-in intake manifold, plumber fitting. So these are 49 to 54 heads. So the problem with these is they're 3 5/8 bore, so no cylinders. You have to do custom cylinders to make this motor work. So not too popular motor, that's why the heads are laying around. I'm alright with that. I like hot rod stuff, so you grab what you can grab. So I grabbed all of those. So these I'll put together and sell them or whatever, I don't know, use them. Maybe we'll put these on Fred's bike. We can do an 88-inch motor, we can do a 70, that'll be 80, what's about 84-inch motor. If you use 74 cylinder or 74 stroke. We can do a 93-inch motor, do a 96-inch, 98-inch, you know, any of those sizes. All of those sizes are up to be available. There's also an 89 in there, and a 93-inch, 92-inch. There's lots of combos. But we can make it a lot bigger than 70 to a 61, which it started out as anyway. So we'll see if he wants to do something like that. These ones over here are junk heads. This is what happens when you're machining stuff and things happen. When something happens, they stop, they throw the head in the junk pile, and it sat there for 30 years. Who knows? Some of these are the old ones from way back. Other stuff is more current. They have issues. This is what the raw casting looks like that they make them from. This one, as you can tell, had a lot of core shift issues. They didn't center it up very good in the machine. See how it's way the hell off? So that means the bolt pattern's off. Everything's off. Intake manifold's off. See how the core shift is way off center. So they were machining along fairly well until they found out there was a problem. And this side up here is off too, theoretically. It looks like it's on center, but they say it's off. I don't know. It might be, it might not be. I don't know. The valve guides would be off. You know, everything would be off. So anyway, this kit can be made to work. You got to go in and cut the combustion chamber the right size to the new offset location and finish it up. But it's not something they could sell as new, so it's a junk. You know, this was an internal oiler. See, it has an external oiler casting, but they never finished machining it. So it is going to be an outside oiler because there is no internal hole. This hole's not in there. So this is an outside oiler head. It's just never been finished. So right now it's a no oiler head. There's no oil holes in this head. But they got oil holes on this side. So they drilled half the hole. So this would be ideal candidate for an S&S lifter block conversion. Internal oiler through the push rods. There you go. These over here are other issues with them. Who knows what. This one's on center, but something else happened. This one here looks like it's on center. Looks like they cut it way too big. So who knows. But anyway, I don't care. I'm going to use these for a mock-up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my motors. Now, we'll get back to mock-ups. So we're testing out proof of concept here, basically. Obviously, this one here, we're just making sure it all bolted together. I didn't know if these cylinders would work because these have been shortened way up. Most of your big bore cylinders are made for big strokes, so these have been cut down a lot shorter than stock. They're about 3/16 less than stock length. But with their piston, the stroker piston that these things came with, you can see how it mocked up. Whoop, it went pretty close. See how it's flush with the top up there? So this is a good running length deal. So this proof of concept means this will work. So I can make this motor very easily. Now the other thing is I did play around the cranks, so I gotta do case either welding or make a spacer. And I have a cone crank over here for an alternator, which is a generator. So it sticks out too far, but I'll have to deal with that too. Or I can put the stock stuff in there. That's an unknown at this point, which way I'm going to go. I don't care about that side too much. So that's proof of concept. This one works. That one's pretty well. We're good to go. I'll have to deal with all the holes not lining up and all that later. That's another problem. But at least we know these cylinders, pistons, and crank work together. So that's okay. This motor over here, we got a different proof of concept. Once again, we got a late model style crank in it. And like I said, that might stay that way, or we might go back to the 65 to 69 stuff and have a bolt-in stock location. Said I haven't decided which way I'm going to go yet. More than likely, I'm going to hook a 5-speed tranny behind it with electric start so I can start these pigs, because these are going to be big-ass motors, high compression. You ain't going to kick them. That motor right there on the floor is a 95-inch Sportster motor. 1957, first year. And that thing does not kick. I can stand on this motor today and that thing will not go through. And this thing's been blowing up since 95. And that thing does not like to kick. You know, 95 inches with a 13-to-1 compression or better, it don't start. Back when I was younger, I made it start, but boy, that's hard on your body. These days, my weak-ass knees will not appreciate that, but I can still kind of do it, but it'd kill me doing it. So I don't want to make a motor like that, where I can't start it. So we'll probably use a modern powertrain behind this. Okay, this motor here, right now I got twin cam cylinder strictly on here for height. I measured this real quick and go, that looks similar. Went and grabbed twin cam, yeah, it's the right height. Geez, look at that. It's almost like they made these things to be that way, see? It all lines up pretty close. This one here, we have to put little nuts under it, see? So anyway, it's proof of concept, that's all we're doing. So I got an 8-inch connected rod in there with a stock stroke, tall case, and short cylinders basically. And these pistons are twin cam pistons, 88-inch pistons. So that's the compression height you would use. So that gets us kind of in the ballpark of what parts I need to use when I go to buy parts. This motor here, I'm going to have to definitely got to have custom cylinders made. I want this to be a 120-inch motor because I already got the 100 covered. So this is a 122-inch limit. 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 will give you 120 cubes. You could also do 4 1/8 here and 4 3/8. That's a 117. You can probably stretch it up to about 450 maybe on the stroke length. Do custom flywheels and get right at the limit of 121 and change. Just matter how much you want to push it. 80-inch flywheels I own. They fit. I just got to deal with cylinders. Pistons are pretty easy too. So I'm not too concerned about that part, but it's just, we're just playing, basically. So what I want to do right now is I want to take some cylinder heads and mock them up. There, it's mocked up. And see what we're going to do for porting. So, let's see, these are not big bore, are they? That one is not. This one might be. Nope, not quite that big. So, low deck machine problem. This one's cut short then. Yeah, wonderful. So, yeah, what I was thinking about doing is copping a Harman motor, which had dual carbs. And the carbs tucked in. So, basically your two heads would line up. You use 2 rear heads. And there's no room. There's a rear head. There's a rear head. And there's a front head. Now these are strictly for me to cut up and do what I want with. So if you take 2 rear heads, like Harman did, you have the exhaust, intake, exhaust, just like a Harley. Not an XR where you got 2 carbs here or 2 carbs over here. You have to have exhaust, intake. That's custom. So if we do a standard camshaft, you do it this way. What you do is this head here, the intake would be coming out this direction. The exhaust would be going out this direction. And see, you got a pull right here. The head's already cast with a port going that way and a port going this way. Same in the back. Port's going this way, port's going that way because it's the same head. So all you do is just machine these differently, and you can have the cross floaties on where you're going straight through like this on both heads. So this carburetor tucks on this side, this carburetor tucks over here. Instead of being straight out in the wind way out here, like that motor would be, or any of these other motors, which is a hell of an aerodynamic drag, these things would be tucked in. Now if I go with a front head, the problem with this is the exhaust port is in the center, which we can make probably work that way if we wanted to, at least it's close. But the intake's way over here, it needs to be over here. So all we got on this side is a bunch of fins, see? So to make a front head do that, it's going to be kind of a lot harder work. Because this one's already got a port over here. It's already casted that way. So I'm leaning toward using 2 rear cylinders heads and machining them accordingly and doing it that way. So that's kind of where I'm at, what we're doing. There's that big rat I heard back there. So anyway, that's why I went up there to get some junk heads so I can play with them. And I'll probably mock them up off of this motor because this has the bolt patterns that fit these heads. So it's easier to hook together. I'll have to go find me another rear cylinder, which I got another one floating around somewhere, I think. Or I just use a stock cylinder. It's just for mock-up. Just get 2 heads up on a motor. And I got to see where I want to put the stuff. So anyway, that's how it all works. That's why it's called mock-up. That's why I don't care about using junk parts for what I'm initially doing. Later on, we will be putting real parts in here that actually do work together. So, and I also picked up another set of covers. So I have a nice set of covers to use. Those look good on show lids too, see? So yeah, I kept up some other parts. Alright, that's it for that. That's how you do mock-up motors.